I usually start with line art, which is essential for this technique. The more refined your line art, the better and easier the process will be. I often do a couple of passes to refine the drawing, but I don't push it too far though, since I will paint over it later anyway. Next, I select the outline and fill it with opaque color. Then, I start working on the background, which is a crucial step. To create strong values in your object, you need to consider the value relationship between the object and the background. For example, if you want to make something appear lighter, darken the background, and vice versa. I painted the background in black and white, then simply used the gradient map to colorize it. For rendering, I follow a simple and straightforward technique. I create a new layer, fill it with white, and start rendering in black and white to focus purely on values, completely isolating myself from the color. It makes the process much easier, allowing me to focus on shape and design. You can figure out color later. This method is especially useful for commercial art, because you can quickly change the color scheme and present different color options to a client in just a few minutes. I've been using this technique for many years, and it has proven to be one of the most efficient and reliable approaches to rendering. At some point you will want to check how your shading looks with the base color. Turn the shading layer to multiply mode and see how it integrates. I typically add a warm tint to the shading layer to get richer and more vibrant results. Next, you can switch to the base color and add additional color, hue shifts, textures, whatever you like. This technique is non-destructive, so you can work on values and colors separately, making it much easier to manage. I often go back and forth rendering the shadow, base color and details, but in this case I just created a new layer on top and started painting. When I paint, I treat it like sculpting, always thinking about how light affects the surface. If a plane is facing the light source, it will be brighter. If it's turned away, it will be darker. To improve your rendering skills, it's helpful to study sculptures or photos, where you can clearly observe the values of the object. When I was learning, I did a lot of studies like that, training myself to think about how light is affecting the surface, almost like a 3D engine rendering the image. If you are just starting, I highly recommend doing those studies. I also use the gradient map technique to create dream lights, which are highly effective for making an object feel more volumetric and eye-catching. I have a tutorial on how to create dream lights using gradient maps, so if you are interested, go and check it out. As I progress, I gradually add more details and highlights, create additional wrinkles and complexity in the shapes. I then added a secondary rim light from below to enhance the object's volume, as rim lights provide a lot of additional information about the shape of the object. Rendering is kinda meditation for me. You don't have to think too much, you just sculpt the shape of the object using the values and colors you already established. Though it can be time-consuming and not everyone enjoys it. Oftentimes it can be frustrating, but if you go past the certain point of the process, you will start liking the image, and in the end the results are often rewarding. Oftentimes, beginners just abandon their work, thinking that it's not good enough, but in fact they just didn't reach that turning point. So, I also use the same gradient map technique to create bloom effect from the rim light and a glowing effect from the eyes. The beauty of this technique is its flexibility. You paint in black and white, and the gradient map takes care of the color, which you can adjust at any point in the process later. In the final stages, I decrease the brush size to refine the details, increase the contrast, add textures, introduce smaller details like wrinkles, cuts, lumps to make it feel more detailed. I also focus on color correction, using adjustment layers like levels or curves to improve contrasts. I add particles, fog or light effects to give the image more texture and atmosphere. I finish with some tweaks to the contrasts and colors to make everything pop even more. Now that you've learned about my process, there is one more thing that can elevate your art skills to the next level. Click here to discover these steps you should take to learn how to draw faster and more efficiently. Alright, see you in the next video!